Assalamu alaikum guys and welcome to my YouTube channel Biology Articles and MCQs. Guys, previously we have studied about the resting membrane potential. Now we are going to start a new topic that is called active membrane potential. Guys, in the active membrane potential, we have studied that the net difference in the charges across the plasma membrane of the neuron is such that the inside of the membrane is negatively charged and the outside of the membrane is positively charged. And the potassium ions are high in concentration inside the cell, and the sodium ions are high in concentration outside the cells. So due to the negative charge inside the membrane, the voltage of the resting membrane potential is minus 70 millivolts. So we will discuss all the stages of the action membrane potential and along with this graph. You can see that in this graph the time is given at the x-axis and the time is in the milliseconds, and the voltage is given in the millivolts at the y-axis. And you can see that at the minus 70 millivolts, a straight line is given here, and this straight line represents the resting membrane potential. Means here no nerve impulse is carrying out and no nerve impulse is generating. You can say that, and nerve impulse will be generated when we will receive a threshold stimulus. And guys, the threshold stimulus is the minimum amount of the stimulus that is required to generate or that is required to initiate a nerve impulse. So whenever we receive a threshold stimulus, means it can be any touch stimulus or cold or heat stimulus, then the charges across the plasma membrane of the neuron will change, will reverse. Means the outside of the membrane will become negatively charged and the inside of the membrane will become positively charged. But it will not change in a very fast manner. There are some steps from which the plasma membrane has to cross in order to change the charges across the membrane. And when it will change the charges are changed or reversed across the plasma membrane, that stage will be called as action potential. So let us discuss that how all the stages will be carried out. First of all, when we will receive a threshold stimulus, the sodium channels in the plasma membrane will open. Guys, sodium channels or sodium gates are simply the proteins that are present at the plasma membrane, and as they are known and named as sodium channels, so they will move the sodium. They will help in the transport of the sodium from their high concentration towards their lower concentration. And these sodium channels are of two types. One are simply the open channels, and the second one are the voltage gated channels. Here at this step, the gates that are working are the simply open channels. Means the sodium will move from their high concentration towards their lower concentration. Means from the outside environment of the plasma membrane to inside environment of the neuron. So as the sodium ions are moving inside the cytoplasm of the nerve cell, so there will be the increase of the positive charge. Or you can see that the positive ions inside the cytoplasm are increasing. But in here, not even many sodium ions will pass. The sodium ion will pass in such a concentration that the concentration of the positive ions across the membrane, means outside the environment and inside the environment, will become same. And as the ionic concentration across the membrane will become same, the voltage will become zero. Means that there are no net difference of the charges here. And at this stage when the voltage is zero, this stage is called as a depolarization. After the depolarization stage, the next step will occur, and now the gated channels, the voltage gated channels of the sodium ions will open. As they are named as voltage gated channel, they will sense that whenever the voltage is 0 millivolts across the plasma membrane, they will open and then transport the sodium ions from their high concentration towards their lower concentration. So here the voltage gated channels are further passing more sodium ion concentration inside the neuron cell. So here you can see that the number or concentration of the positive ions inside the cell or inside the neuron cell is greater as compared to the outside. So due to the greater amount of these positive ions inside the cell, the inside cell will become positively charged, and automatically the outside environment will become, or you can say that the outside of the plasma membrane will become negatively charged, and this point is called as action potential, or simply as called active membrane potential. Guys, here in this state, you can see that as the inside of the membrane is positively charged, so the voltage when measured will become the positive 40 voltage, and this is the peak point at which the maximum amount of positive charges are inside the membrane. So this point is called as action potential. After this point, the next point will occur, means when the plasma membrane will sense that now the voltage is plus 40, then the potassium gated channels will open. And these potassium gated channels are also voltage gated channels, means they sense the voltage. Whenever the voltage will be plus 40, then they will open and then transport the potassium ions from their high concentration towards their lower concentration. Means the potassium ions are in high concentration inside the cytoplasm, so there will be the movement of the potassium ions from the cytoplasm outside the cell or in the extracellular fluid. So as now the positive ions are moving in the outside environment, so there will be the increase of positive ions in outside environment, and the sign or the charge will become positive in the outside environment and automatically negative in the inside environment of the neuron cell. This point is called as repolarization. Means now the polarization is again moving towards that the same polarization that has the same potential that is at the point of resting membrane potential. And this repolarization, as you know, that is due to the outflow of the potassium ions. So this the main contribution of the potassium ions is in the repolarization. After the repolarization, in the process, in the step of repolarization, the voltage is now again decreasing. You can see here, means it is decreasing and it will move towards the negative charge again. But guys, in the after the repolarization, there is a short state of hyperpolarization also. Means when when the potassium ions are moving outside, the potassium gated voltage gated channels are not closed yet. They are still open and are moving the potassium ions further outside. And as the potassium ions are now, or positive ions are now greater, in very greater concentration outside the environment than the inside environment, so the inside environment will become more negative. It will become more negative than the minus 70 millivolts. Means this state is called as hyperpolarization. Means it can be minus 90 millivolts due to the high negatively charged in the inside of the membrane, and a high amount of, it is due to the high amount of positive charge outside the membrane. So this after this hyperpolarization, then again the resting state will come, and the membrane will again move towards the resting membrane potential. How it will move towards the resting membrane potential? That now, yeah, I have told you that the potassium ions are more in concentration outside. So they will automatically move from their high concentration towards their lower concentration, means they will start moving inside the membrane. As some of the positive ions will move inside the membrane, so there will be some increase of positive ions, and that very negative charge, more negative charge will slightly become will decrease, and it will again move towards the minus 70 millivolts, and that is the final resting membrane potential of the plasma membrane again. So in this way, the resting membrane potential convert into the active membrane potential, and this change in the charges of the plasma membrane is at a very slight point. It is not the changing in the whole nerve cell. In a very short point, or at a very small place of the nerve cell, there will be the active membrane potential will occur, and then it will shift towards the next short point or short phase of the neuron, and in this way that active membrane potential result in the nerve impulse. I hope you understand all the things about the active membrane potential, and if you like this video, then share this video with your friends. Thank you so much.